When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube. Welcome back to the Grease Comedy YouTube channel. Today's video, we are going to be talking about, will Jon actually be a POV in Winds of Winter? If he is revived, say George switches that up, he's just like, you know what? Jon's staying dead. But let's say he comes back. Will Jon continue to be a major POV in the books? And this idea I kind of got from Preston Jacobs and Red Team's review. They were doing a video talking about like an article that had said like the top 10 things I guess you notice when rewatching Game of Thrones because of like the later seasons. They talked about this, where is Jon Snow going to have a POV? And it's something that I wanted to give my thoughts on, so I will leave a link to their video if you guys wanted to watch that. I assume a lot of you already have, because you guys are always like talking about Preston Jacobs. I feel like in my comments and chat, but I will leave a link to that. But before we get into the actual video and my reasoning for Jon's POV, maybe or maybe not, if you guys like to like, subscribe, and comment, please do for more of this kind of a Song of Ice and Fire content. I've been doing a lot of House of the Dragon and also Rings of Power content lately, but I'm also trying to, you know, still implement the Song of Ice and Fire content in there as well. So let's get into this whole idea. Now, this kind of stems from, okay, there's this idea that Melisandre is brought in as a POV. It's very odd. It's one POV in the entire book, and it's almost out of nowhere. And at the same time, it kind of feels like a pointless POV, because it's like, yes, we see inside of Melisandre a little bit. We see kind of her doubts about some of her abilities and her powers at large, how she kind of is just fooling people at times where she doesn't actually have any ability. But at the same time, over half of this chapter is just her talking with Jon. So why couldn't we just have a Jon POV, right? It's like the same idea as if we got a Robb Stark POV while he's talking to Catelyn for almost an entire chapter. Like, why do we have Robb's POV? We could have just had Catelyn's POV. So it's one of those weird ideas, whereas is it like George implementing already that he kind of knows that Jon's not going to be a POV in the next book, and that Melisandre will kind of take over that role in the North as a POV for now until we get characters like Davos and some of these other characters meeting up. Maybe Melisandre will fade out again, or maybe we'll get Jon in A Dream of Spring as the main POV in the North as well. So that is kind of a question that is raised. Another idea is the one character that is killed off that, you know, is brought back, right? Catelyn. She is not made a POV anymore. We don't see things through her eyes or her thoughts anymore. It is gone. We don't see her as a POV anymore. Is that maybe something we can look at and say, okay, that's how Jon is going to be now? Jon is going to be a character we only see through other people's eyes, and that we're going to see how he changes as a person, not through his own head, but how others view him as a character. So I think that could be an interesting idea. But I think to counter that point, right, you can always say, well, Lady Stoneheart can't talk. So how are you going to have a POV where somebody can't talk and it's just their inner thoughts? And Lady Stoneheart's such a weird character because we kind of know what her inner thoughts are. She wants revenge, she's angry, and she's pissed off. So if you're, you know, being inside of her head, it's not going to be that interesting, right? Because it's kind of going to be like Arya Hoda, right? Where it's like, they don't really talk the entire chapter, and they just kind of are there to be our eyes and Dorne, right? So I understand why George didn't make Lady Stoneheart a POV character, because didn't need to. Right? And it didn't really make sense to. So Jon is a special case where he's a main POV, but when he comes back, he should be reasonably similar to his original character, but with slight changes, right? So I've said that when Jon comes back, he's going to be a different character. I think he's going to be a bit more quick to anger. He's going to be more animalistic in his like attributes because of being in Ghost for a decent amount of time without coming back to Jon's actual body. I think he is going to be someone that just doesn't put up with as much shit anymore, right? You have to think his last memories or whatever is going to be of the Night's Watch betraying him after he's tried to do all of these things. Plus you factor in that idea with the premise that he's been in Ghost, an animal, a wolf, and we're told this many times that the longer and more frequently that you stay in your direwolf, the more you will kind of come into their characteristics. So hunting, being more kind of like wanting blood, things like that, things that Bran experiences, and even Robb, right? If you look at Robb becomes someone that, especially later on, becomes, you can tell he's having more of these warg dreams and stuff like that because he's becoming thinner. He's coming more wolf-like. He's getting, he's not taking care of like his facial hair, and like his hair is growing out more, and he's becoming more animalistic. That is something I think we will see with Jon when he comes back. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think we are going to see a Jon POV in Winds of Winter? I don't think Winds of Winter we will see a Jon POV. I think it makes sense that we have a decent amount of other characters in the North to kind of take that role. And that I think for now it would be cool if we got a break from Jon. Because if you look at Jon, he's one of our, if you look at POV, like chapter-wise, he's in the top 4, top 5. So I think we get a little bit of a break from him and let some other characters kind of develop while we kind of see through their eyes who Jon has kind of become. But let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.